Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? So after the trade from the Texans last week, Bradley Roby is getting up to speed. He did, in fact, work out with the Saints on Wednesday, so his suspension for violating the league's policy on performance enhancers is over. Had to serve a 6-game suspension, so the last 5 games of last season, week 1 this year. So now he's eligible to play, and the timing couldn't be better with Marshawn Lattimore's hand surgery. It is worth noting, caveat today, that Lattimore was back at Saints practice today. Now, the media only got to watch the stretching portion, which was about 20 minutes, but Lattimore was out there stretching and then left. Could he possibly play this weekend? It's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but we'll see what the injury report says. If we operate under the assumption that Lattimore won't be out there, then Bradley Roby becomes your number one, with Paulson Adebo and Desmond Tre'Quan being opposite him in whatever rotation that may be. This is the first opportunity we got to hear from Bradley Roby, and he kind of went back first and talked about his reaction when he got traded to the Saints.
First reaction, I was happy, man. Like, as soon as I heard the Saints, I just thought about, like, all the guys I know here, guys I'm close with. I train with in the offseason, you know, Mike Thomas, Marshawn, Alvin. You know, I'm kind of with those guys a lot in the offseason. So as soon as I heard that and heard the Saints, I was just like, man, what a blessing, because, you know, we're playing for something here. And it's not that Houston's not playing for anything. It's just, you know, it's just a different level right now, in my opinion. Just for me to be at this point in my career, you know, going to my 8th year, you know, I won a Super Bowl before, and I've just been trying to get another one, like, real bad. So as soon as I heard this, I was like, man, hell yeah, let's go.
By the way, Houston's not playing for anything. But you also understand what's such an interesting paradigm is how much free agents or players via trade coming to New Orleans, how excited they are. I mean, part of me, I still got to, like, pinch myself, because it wasn't always that way. Just look at the juxtaposition with the team that plays across the street from the Saints, the Pelicans. Like, they're a small market team that has a major struggle at attracting free agents because people don't want to go play for that organization in a small market because they've been a losing organization. The market size doesn't matter with the Saints because they've won. And Bradley Roby sitting there saying, man, I got a Super Bowl, I want another one. Hell yeah, man, it's the Saints. And he knows a lot of those guys because of the Ohio State connection as well. So, man, when you got a motivated veteran who knows he's near the end of his career, but you get him, man, with this jolt of life near the end to maximize what he's got, I love it, man. You get a motivated veteran on the team. I'm for it. Now, he also asked, talked about kind of how he fits and what he's going to do in the Saints defense.
Fits perfect, you know. Play a lot of man coverage here, match coverage here, and that's what I do. You know, I made a career on that. I can play zone also. We also play zone and stuff, but I just love the press and, you know, getting the guys, you know, at the line of scrimmage. And bump and run, really. And that's what I like to do. I think that's a strength of mine. I think it fits well. And I'm excited for sure.
And the fact that he's willing to play man and wants to go bump and run, he said, look, I could play zone also, but man is what he does. That's going to be featured this week when you're taking on Carolina. And we know how Joe Brady likes to play. I mean, when you've got DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson and you add Terrace Marshall to the mix, and we know how they use McCaffrey. Look, McCaffrey was a leading receiver a week ago. Like, you know how they're going to try to create space by running those receivers downfield. You're going to have to play man coverage on the outside. So you got a guy that in this week in particular probably makes a lot of sense as well for him in this matchup. I'm really excited about the prospect of Lattimore and Roby together on the field. I mean, think about if Paulson Adebo is your number 3. About how seamlessly Adebo transitioned from opting out last year to being on the field in his first NFL game, intercepting Aaron Rodgers and playing really well. Like, imagine if that guy all of a sudden is your number 3 and, you know, former Pro Bowler and Desmond Tre'Quan becomes your number 4. I mean, and that's not even counting a guy like C.J. Gardner-Johnson in his nickel safety role and P.J. Williams. I mean, I know we've talked about it a bit, but this was a position that we considered was such a liability. All of a sudden now is a position of strength and depth, which is really cool to see. I mean, you lose Marshawn Lattimore potentially for this week, and you feel like you can still sustain, which certainly didn't feel like that a few weeks ago. So Bradley Roby, he'll make his debut for the Saints this week in Carolina against the Panthers. Jameis Winston will make his first road start with the Saints. And this is an interesting week for Jameis with 6 offensive coaches absent for New Orleans. And, he talked about this today. And he played 3. This was so interesting, just perspective from Jameis, talking about what the practice week has been like, not having 6 offensive coaches out there on the field. Give a listen to how he spun this to a positive.
I think it fell right into, how we've been adjusting down here in Dallas, man. We've been facing adverse situations since we got here, with Hurricane Ida and us moving to Dallas, relocate. One thing I admire about our head coach, he doesn't blink an eye. He really embraces these situations. He voices to us how we should embrace it, and we just team up with him and we roll with him. We're doing a great job in our training room with getting guys masked up and keeping everyone protected, and we just got to continue to execute. I think our coaches, they can do a good job working from afar. The coach's job is to coach, player's job is to play. So we have to continue to bring that same energy, regardless if coach is out there or not. We still got to bring it.
The other thing he said, and I'll read this quote. Not only did he spin it to, we face so much adversity and we got great coaches that know how to handle this, but he also said, quote, "We got to experience one of the best offensive-minded head coaches ever in the game one-on-one, like a staff meeting running the team. I've never been in that room watching tape with Sean, going through situations with Sean, and voicing how he would like something done." Because, end quote, because typically that's delegated. So Jameis had a chance to sit there in a meeting room with the head coach and listen to and to see film through Peyton's eyes instead of through Pete Carmichael or I don't know if Carmichael's one of them, but just whatever other offensive coaches might have been there. It's just when you can take a situation with 6 offensive coaches positive for COVID and spin it to a positive, like things are going well. Like you're in a good headspace. Jameis also took this opportunity to talk about the defense he's going to face in Carolina.
I think the biggest thing is the edge rushers. I think they got some good people. Put some great pressure on the edge. The good thing is we have 2 all-pro tackles. So that's a blessing that we have with us. Another thing is their simplicity. And anytime that you find a defense that's pretty simple, you know that they're going to execute really well. I think they got great length, and I think they got 2 really good corners. So I think they got a complete defense that is playing a very simple bend but don't break scheme. So you know they're going to be in the right place. So it's going to definitely be an execution game. Bend
but don't break. Of course, there's going to be plays to make. You got to execute. The 2 corners he referred to, of course, are Dante Jackson from LSU and J.C. Horn from South Carolina, who is the first-round draft pick, son of Joe Horn, a guy that the Saints tried to move up to take, but he's now in Carolina. So that'll be the challenge on the outside for New Orleans with Dante Jackson and with J.C. Horn as far as the edge rushers, as he mentioned. You got Shaq Thompson on this defense. Hassan Reddick is on this Carolina Panthers defense. Remember, they drafted Derek Brown from Auburn last year as well, so a big body in the middle. It's going to be a challenge. Matt Rule is a really good coach. I think he's got the respect of most everybody. That's a team that achieved more a year ago than many assumed they would, considering they were essentially in a tear-down rebuild post-Cam Newton. And this is one of the more intriguing teams, certainly in the NFC this year, to see what type of step they might take with Sam Darnold at quarterback. They've added some offensive weapons. Christian McCaffrey's back after only having played 3 years. They add J.C. Horn, a top 10 pick on the defensive side. I'm curious to watch this Carolina team and how much of an improvement they make year to year from 1 to 2 with Matt Rule. One more from Jameis as well. He did talk about working with Cesar Ruiz at center. And listen, I've expressed this. One of my big pieces of apprehension for this game is losing Eric McCoy, because we've shared with you so many times over the years the old Buddy D line about the angle about teams that lose their starting center fail to cover 80% of the time the following week. And now you lose Eric McCoy. This is an unfavorable spot for New Orleans, but you have Cesar Ruiz stepping in, who is a very experienced center, and he and Jameis actually have a good rapport.
During training camp, I probably had 3 snaps with Cesar live, but I think last year, me and Cesar worked so much at the center position because it was Eric and Clapp taking those reps, and I was just working with Cesar during those times when he did play center. So I think that really helps. So we have a good rapport. I know how he likes to communicate. He knows how I like to communicate. So it kind of worked out in our favor that we had a lot of reps last year, and we were just able to pick up from that, man. But we're gonna miss Eric, man. Like his command and the way that he did things up front was phenomenal. But I know the way that he loves football, he's going to be in Caesar's ear, and Caesar's going to do an excellent job for us at that position.
It's a noon kickoff Sunday from Bank of America Stadium there in Carolina. Saints are a 3.5-point favorite. Curious to see if that line moves any more before kickoff. But here's hoping the Saints can get to a 2-0 start. My contention before the season was the Saints needed to go to their bye above 500. They needed to find a way to get to 3-2 going into their bye for week 6, because they'll come off of the bye in week 7 at Seattle, and they will likely have Mike Thomas back by then. They'll likely also have gotten Will Lutz back before then, and then 1 week beyond, they'll have David Onyemata back after the Seattle game. So they'll be whole at that point. If they could be at that point above 500, it sets them up, despite a very daunting schedule, to be able to make a run to finish above 500, be a playoff team, see if they can be playing their best when they get to the postseason. So this would be a gigantic step. Division game on the road. If they can move to 2-0, it would just be massive to get this game before you go to New England in week 3. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.